Welcome to another episode of Dolphin Origin Stories, where we meet and discuss with former students, current students, administrators, and so much more how they became a Dolphin. I'm your host, Nick Durst, and I'm joined today by a very special guest, someone who has deep ties to the island and the college itself. You may have heard his voice on Z100. He is Josh Martinez. Josh, thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you for having me. I hope you have heard my voice. That would be very beneficial to paying my bills on time. And I want to do that. I want to keep doing that. So please listen to Z100 every weeknight.
Every weeknight you'll hear Josh.
First of many plugs over the next few minutes.
Lock it in. So Josh, obviously, you're in radio now, but let's rewind the clock a little bit here. Taking it back here, how you ended up getting there. It all started here at the College of Staten Island. Initially, you decided to come here as a student back in the day.
Yeah. So I wanted to be a theater major. And it's funny, I literally just got my transcript, for timestamp guy, this is Thursday. I got it Tuesday night.
Okay.
My grades were horrible, horrible. And I also found out I still owe the College of Staten Island money. So I gotta stop by Bursar before I leave here. But no, I came here with that intent, and I'm a firm believer, and this is just how I feel. College isn't for everybody. You know what I'm saying? If you want to be a podiatrist, if you want to be a doctor in any way, you should probably go to college. I would like for my podiatrist to go to college and learn. But in radio, you didn't need that. And I knew pretty quickly I wanted to be in the entertainment industry, and I knew pretty quickly that I could do it on my own if I really apply myself and try my hardest. So that's essentially what I did.
So you're here, you are making some connections though, some lifelong friends, but talk to us. Obviously you didn't end up finishing school here because you went to the radio path, but you did start here. So what was your experience like on campus? And also talk to us back then, you're graduating high school, Susan Wagner High School. There was maybe at a time a bit of a stigma about the College of Staten Island.
1,000%. And I spoke about this with administrators in the years after, and they're like, that was the mindset. People would talk about, you're going to the 13th grade, essentially. And I think that CSI has actually done a really good job over the last decade plus to kind of revamp things. And I know so many people who travel from other boroughs for the sole purpose of what CSI has to offer, whether it's business, nursing, and education, I believe, or let me know if I'm wrong. But I feel like those are the three main majors that I come across people. I talk about CSI often. I'm very honest about the fact that I didn't finish, but that's not anything against the College of Staten Island. I think that's just something that I realized pretty quickly. And I tell everybody the same story. Listen, I got paid to come to college, and that wasn't enough to keep me here. That's just my story, and I knew that pretty quickly. So my experience here was great. I had an acting teacher that was fantastic, a communications teacher that I thoroughly enjoyed, or a professor, excuse me. And then there were just, those core prerequisite classes that I could not care any less about. And I think that's just a common issue across every college, across the country. So I'm not, speaking negatively about CSI. But I enjoyed it. Good, solid vending machine options. I remember that vividly, actually.
Good campus dining.
Yeah, especially the cafe area, which I spent many hours there. And it's easy to get here.
Everything's walkable on campus.
Yeah, everything's walkable. I know people would, I came here 6 days a week. That was my goal. I'm going to take 1 or 2 classes a day, but I'm going to come 6 days a week. And I have friends that did the opposite. They were trying to cram everything
1 or 2 days a week.
Exactly. God bless those people. Clearly, maybe I should have taken that route, or maybe I would have graduated, right? But no, I tell people all the time, CSI is great,
And you always, credit to you always give CSI a good rub on the radio.
Yeah, I have nothing bad to say about CSI. I have friends now that work here, so I'm definitely not going to say anything negative.
Shout out to Linda.
Exactly. One of the homies since high school for me. But to that point, I genuinely have nothing negative to say. I was here last year. I had a cousin who graduated.
Last year your cousin graduated, right?
Yeah, in May. I've had several family members who graduated from CSI through the years. So I'm a fan.
All right, so let's
talk. Or should I say I'm a
Dolphin. So let's talk about how you decided to pursue that radio path. I know at first you're a big sports guy, you could see by what Josh is wearing. You end up in entertainment though, but talk to us about that process, how you got your first internship, etc.
Yeah, so I went to a school in Hasbrook Heights that was like an 8-week training program for TV and radio. They just gave you a certification. There's no degree. I'm not going to say it was a money grab, but I made the right connections there. 8-week program in Hasbrook Heights. And what I did was when I was in high school, I would play video games like most boys in high school, right? And I would put the video games on mute and I would just listen to the radio. And I would listen to ESPN radio and they would always broadcast the school as a commercial. So I looked into it and I was like, 8 weeks, I could do 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Like just suck it up 4 days a week for 8 weeks. Did that, but I wanted to go for sports TV. My goal was to be the first Puerto Rican Sports Center anchor. That's what I wanted to be.
Okay.
And then I realized radio, you don't have to wear a suit or makeup, and you could show up in pajama pants, maybe not even sober, and nobody would know as long as you could perform in that like 14-second span where you're talking into a Sabrina Carpenter song. So I fell in love with radio on that side. I got an internship at 103.5 KTU shortly after, and I did not want to leave the building. So as an intern, you didn't get a badge, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of places on CSI's campus where you need a badge to swipe in and get in somewhere. I wanted that badge so bad. So I ended up getting a job on the street team right after my internship. Then I got promoted to be an overnight board op and producer at KTU. So I was the youngest producer in New York City at the time. And I was working overnight, like technically Saturday morning, 12 a.m. to 6 a.m., technically Sunday night, 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. So I had no social life at the age of 19, but I was cool with it. You know what I'm saying? I would sleep in a back room from 6 a.m. to 8:50, and then I'd wake up, brush my teeth, put water on my face, and then I would produce from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Saturday and Sunday. So like my weekends were basically just like log jammed, but I didn't care. I was getting paid at the time good money, right? Mm-hmm. When you're a college student, all you got to worry about is a Metro card. So that's all I cared about. And I just kind of kept going from there throughout my career, which took me to Long Island, Westchester, Des Moines, Iowa, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Dayton, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio, and then back to Z100 in New York City.
So what you always say is, if you stay ready, you need to get ready.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you were ready when the opportunity came knocking for you to come back home to Z100.
Yeah, I got the opportunity I actually auditioned, and I enjoy telling the story because I auditioned on about 36 hours notice. And I literally just got a phone call and was like, hey, you're in New York. So I was living in Ohio at the time doing my radio thing. And I was in town for the weekend. And the person was like, hey, are you available to come in Saturday night, technically Sunday morning, 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. and audition? And I was like, yeah, I'll be there. I had no headphones. I had no prep, but I almost feel like it was better that way because I didn't harp on it.
Didn't overthink it.
And as weird as, I'm a diehard wrestling fan. WWE, AEW, love wrestling. At WrestleMania 35, which was at MetLife Stadium in 2019, there was a wrestler by the name of Kofi Kingston who went 11 years without getting a heavyweight title shot till WrestleMania. For me, I waited 13 years for my one opportunity. So I just kept watching that match over and over, and the hype video that the WWE puts together. And on the drive to my audition, I had the hype video on loop, at least the audio, because don't text and drive, and just listening to it over and over. And like Kofi Kingston has no idea that he single-handedly.
Have you interviewed him since? You do a lot of wrestling?
I have a wrestling podcast called the Superstar Crossover Podcast on iHeartRadio, wherever you find podcasts. But I have not interviewed Kofi, but I would love to tell him that.
Story.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I've hung out with him before.
Okay.
Before that situation, but never since I got back to Z100.
Okay, so now you're set. You're at Z100. You're established. Talk to us about the excitement level. Has it worn out yet? I mean, you've been here a few years, or is every night you're like, I can't believe this is my job?
Actually, my 4-year anniversary is like next week, I believe. Yeah, so I can't be here for 4 years, but I could be at Z100 for 4 years. No, it's been amazing. I don't call it work. My text messages, phone calls, chatting with friends, I always say, I gotta go to the studio. I gotta be on air. I gotta go to the station. I never say work. It's not work. I'm lucky. You will never hear me complain about what I do for a living if you are not in radio. When you are in radio, we all vent to each other. But you will not hear me complain. I have a buddy who works in like HVAC and is up at like 4:30 in the morning every morning. I have friends who work in like maintenance and supers for buildings, and they're up early in the morning and getting 24/7 on the call. That's not a job. I literally go in and I can be me. Yep. I can halfway focus and fully focus on the Knicks game, for example. As we record this, it's Thursday, so Friday night, tomorrow night, Yankees and Mets, and also the Knicks game 6. Luckily, there's enough TVs in the studio. I'm going to take the logos off the TV. Yeah, SmackDown. I could TiVo. I could DVR that. I'm okay on SmackDown. Yeah.
You're locked in.
Oh God.
So talk to us about the technical aspects, because okay, it's radio. People think you might be there actually picking each song. Is everything programmed ahead of time? Obviously, you work with a top 40 station.
Yeah, so there's every radio station has like a program director, which oversees the entire radio station, and there's the music director who schedules all the music out. So the music is scheduled for me. I have done both of those jobs previously. At Z100, I am just a host, nothing more. So I get there, the playlist is already set up, and I just I produce my show in regards to what songs I want to talk into, what songs I don't want to talk into. I like to think I have a pretty gritty, raw New York City style, so I don't really talk into like Billie Eilish Wildflower. That is such a slow, melodic intro. I can't be on the radio with this high energy into this slow, melodic sound. So I just let the imaging, which is the stuff you hear between songs, kind of go into that. But we produce our shows, but the songs are already set up for us. So
you're a big Knicks fan, big Rangers fan.
Yes.
What was it like for you to be on the stage at Madison Square Garden for Jingle Ball?
I just got goosebumps on my upper arms. Insane. I think anybody who's a sports fan wants to be the center of attention at Madison Square Garden, even if it's for 5 seconds. You know the significance of MSG, whether it's because of all these legendary concerts, boxing fights, hockey or basketball events. And before I got on stage, so I was backstage, right? So Z100 Jingle Ball has this rotating stage. So I'm on the stage, but you can't see me, right?
Spins around.
Yeah, and I'm looking up and I just see the retired Rangers jerseys. That was my angle. And I'm looking for some reason, don't know why, I am just staring a hole through Mike Richter's jersey. And for some reason that just got me so emotional, because it's I diehard Rangers fan and grew up watching at that time with Richter, and I'm about to have a microphone in my hand inside Madison Square Garden. The kid who grew up in Sunset Park, Brooklyn, whose bedroom was the living room, and got hand-me-down clothes, would think I'm the coolest person alive, which I'm up there sometimes. But no, it was ridiculous. I got emotional 3 different times doing it, and I've been blessed and honored to be part of Jingle Ball 4 times now, and it's been absurd every time, just bumping into Martha Stewart, or hanging out with Jelly Roll, or
has anybody mistaken you with Jingle Ball for DJ Khaled?
No, but I got Teddy Swims a lot this past year.
You must have the hat.
Yeah, and I wore a cowboy hat, and I guess we look alike enough. And a part of that rotating stage, we sell the seats behind the stage. It's actually a really fun environment back there. And everybody was just yelling Teddy Swims. And I looked around for a second and I was like, oh, they're talking to me. This is not fun, because I'm not going to turn around and there's nothing worse than disappointing someone, right? So it's I'm not going to turn around and be like, nope, just Puerto Rican host. And then sure enough, Teddy Swims happened to be next.
Oh, wow.
So him and I met, and I told him that I've been getting called Teddy the whole time, and we had a fun exchange. And luckily there was a photographer back there who captured several photos of that moment of us talking, and I was like, oh, maybe I do kind of look like Teddy Swims a little bit.
All right, we'll see what you whip out next year alpha-wise. Last thing I want to touch on here is that you're always looking to give back to the next generation. You came last year, you talked to WSI, the radio students here, and to other students. So what was that experience like for you?
I loved it, man. I think that a lot of people, unfortunately, we're all victims of our situation. So if, me and my inner circle of 7 people have the same ideology, everyone has that same thought, right? So no one listens to radio. That's a lie, right? We have stats to prove it. We're all exposed to radio, whether we realize it or not. You go into a bodega, you don't want to plug in your aux, or your AirPlay broke or whatever. We're all exposed to radio somehow. You go to the dentist's office, 106.7 Night FM is probably on.
100%.
So we're all exposed to it. So for me, it's there are people that want to still get into it. And I remember when I was starting out in the industry, I hate to say it, but there wasn't many people helping me. I had to borderline harass people to have someone give me that opportunity to just allow me to sit in and learn. And I remember that feeling of feeling hopeless. And my first on-air job, real quick, was on it was 106.1 WBLI on Long Island. I lived in West Brighton, and I went to West Babylon, Long Island in Nassau County.
Quite the commute.
With no car. I took every form of public transportation New York City offered. So I walked from North Berger Avenue to the 44 on Henderson Avenue to the ferry to the one train that I got tattooed on my wrist to the LIRR to West. I took it to the Babylon train station, and then I would take a cab. Or sometimes it was a mile and a half away. I would walk if it was a nice enough night to work overnights. So I would be out of my house at 8:30, get to the radio station by 11:30, and be on air from 12 a.m. to 6 a.m. It cost me $41.50 round trip to travel 6 hours to be on air for 5. Like, that's the stuff that everyone needs to do, essentially, if they want to get a start in radio. And to me, it's like, if I can jumpstart someone's passion or help someone that has that passion already in them, bro, sign me up. I don't care. I have an open door policy for my show. There are people that literally can't perform on air if there's a human being inside the studio. I have allowed strangers to come into the studio and hang out during my show.
And also some big executives have been.
So, yeah, you know, but whatever. Like, I want people that want to know about radio, or if they just have a curiosity. Because to me, it's like, once you see how it's done, once you see what's happening, your mind and your opinion on radio will change forever. For just being in a studio for 15 minutes. Now magnify that by 4 hours of my show, or twice a week for 6 months, or whatever the situation may be. So to me, it's like, if I could ignite one person's passion or lead one person, then, like, dude, I'm doing my job. Because it's all about, like, the tree. When my career is done, who have I helped out? Like, what does my tree look like? You know, people talk about a family tree. I think of, like, a career tree. Who have I helped out in the industry? And if the answer is nobody, then I suck.
Well, Josh, very well said. We appreciate your passion and fire, and this is, you mentioned it at the top, but you were going to give all your plugs, so this is your time to plug away.
Every weeknight on Z100, New York's #1 hit music station, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., I am on air. I'm also a night host in Chicago at our 103.5 KISS FM pop station in Chicago as well. That's every weeknight, so I simulcast and jump back and forth from one studio to the next to handle Chicago, go back for New York City. Only one time have I said the wrong radio station name live on air, and I just rolled with it, but pretty good track record. It was just one time so far. And I have, like I said earlier, a wrestling podcast called the Superstar Crossover Podcast, wherever you find podcasts. I'm currently going viral because I interviewed Will Ospreay of All Elite Wrestling, who basically pooped all over the WWE. And you know what? Clicks for me. I'll take it.
There you go. Josh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. That's going to do it here for this episode of Dolphin Origin Stories. For our special guest, Josh Martinez. I'm your host, Nick Durst, and thank you for watching.